This is Angelo Pizzullo, manager of the Oral History Program on board the Battleship New Jersey in Camden, New Jersey, where we are at currently. Today is Saturday, October 21st, 2017. Our interview guest is James Guardiano from Apopka, Florida. Welcome home, Mr. Guardiano.
Thank you, Angelo.
All right. What is your current age?
48 years old.
All right. And when did you enlist?
1988.
And when you joined the Navy, how old were you?
I turned 19 at boot camp.
Okay. And what was your inspiration for joining the Navy?
My father was a Marine and didn't want me to join the Navy, so of course. No, but I've always been interested in the sea and the history of the Navy.
All right, great. And that explains your inspiration. All right. Where did you go to boot camp?
Orlando, Florida.
Orlando, Florida. And so what are some of the stories you can tell us from your time in Orlando?
Not too much. Just, you're pretty much around the clock doing something.
Mm. Nothing stands out?
Boot camp being yelled at. I had an E9 as a company commander, and he would come in drunk yelling at us all the time.
All right. Now, after that, did you go to A school?
Yes.
What was your A school training and where?
The Ship Serviceman A School in Meridian, Mississippi.
Any memories of that?
Yeah, it was good to be out of boot camp. So it was pretty fun. You had more flexibility. You had to go to class every day. And you still had an extension of boot camp somewhat with inspections and whatnot, but you did have a lot more freedom.
Okay. Now, was the Battleship New Jersey your first duty station after A school?
Yes.
And what was your reaction when you got the orders? Do you remember?
They flew me to Busan, Korea.
Oh, okay. Talk about that.
That was an experience. I took a MAC flight from, well, when I got out of A school, I went to go see my parents in South Florida, in the Fort Lauderdale area. So from there, I took a flight from Fort Lauderdale to St. Louis, to Houston, to Los Angeles, to Honolulu, to Japan, and from Japan to Korea. And then I had to take a 6-hour train in Korea to get to where I was. It was long. It was a long couple of days. When I got to Korea, of course my luggage wasn't there. It got lost. And they didn't have any reservations for me or anything. I had to stay at the hotel the day before the ship got there. But it turned out to be 10 days before the ship got there.
Oh.
So they basically gave me some money and told me to come back in a week. That's a hell of a thing to tell an 18, 19-year-old in Busan, Korea. But
Anything you'd like to share during that week?
Oh, no.
Okay. Now, so you're waiting for the New Jersey.
Yes.
And you see her for the very first time ever. What is your reaction when you see her?
Well, I was on a helicopter, and they lowered me down on a Jacob's ladder. And I was just in awe when I landed on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
How huge it was and how massive and all the weapons that it had.
Right. Why was, at the time, the New Jersey in Korea? Was there any specific mission?
No, we were doing a Westpac.
Okay.
And it was the first port, going on the Westpac. It was the 1988 Westpac.
Okay. Now, also, you stated that you were on board during our representation of the United States for the Australian Bicentennial.
Yeah,
would you like to talk about that? Because that's something we always find interesting.
Yeah, that was during this cruise. It was interesting when we were in the water and having, Her Highness come by on the ship and wave to us. It was very, all the world's Navy forces were there. We saw people from Italy, British, Ireland. It was just amazing seeing the different cultures and the different militaries, throughout the world.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting, and it was really amazing to see the Queen, you know, going by and waving to everybody and saluting everybody.
Right, but she did not board the ship.
No, no.
Okay. Was the New Jersey the largest ship there?
Yes.
Okay, so no carriers were present.
No.
Interesting. All right. How about some general stories about life on board the battleship?
For those who don't know, when a battle group deploys, you usually have a carrier. The New Jersey took place at a carrier as the, you know, head of the ship of the battle group.
Mhm.
And we did have helos, you know, that would land on the ship. Not as much as a carrier, obviously. You know, it didn't have that size, but yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Right. Now, you were on board when Admiral Reason made the New Jersey her flagship, correct?
Yes.
Did you get to meet him by chance?
No.
Okay.
I did not.
All right. Some other stories, just generally anything you remember being on the battleship, like during exercises with the firing of the 16-inch guns, their first impression, anything like that you want to add?
Yeah, well, you see how massive the ship is. And when those 16-inch guns fire and the ship moves, you know, that shows a lot of power. But I think probably the best story I had was when we were in the Indian Ocean, and we had these little Arabian ships would come up to us, and we would broadside the guns, and they would just take off full speed. They didn't want to mess with us.
Was that the 5 or the 16, or
16,
all of them?
16,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, your rate and grade in the Navy was,
I was an E4 ship serviceman, 3rd class petty officer.
so that's supply, correct?
Yes.
Logistics. Any stories about that?
Well, we were all like family, you know. We'd go out together, you know, we would drink together, fight together. Everything was, you know, like a big family in our division.
Anything that you might have remembered that stood out, like even something like a request that was pressed upon you, where you might have received a thank you, anything like that?
Not really. You know, we had a senior chief that was hard on us and, you know, would drive some of the guys crazy, but...
Okay. I was in medical logistics, so we always had some kind of back rubbing, so to say,
Okay.
or back scratching, excuse me. All right. Now, what was your duty stations during general quarters or any watch stations that you might remember?
I think general quarters, we actually went, I think we were in the laundry. I really don't recall.
Okay.
To be honest with you.
At your watch stations, did you have any?
Well, we did low visibility.
Mhm.
Because of the services we provided at sea, with the ship store and the barber shop and vending machines and laundry and dry cleaning. So we pretty much were around the clock working. So we did for pretty much E3 or E4 and below, used to stand low visibility detail.
Okay.
When it got too bad to see, they would call us out there.
All right. So you worked in the laundry area, you said. Just give me a day in the life with all of that going on.
It was a lot of work.
Mhm.
You know, the different departments would come down with their bags. You notice along the ship where it has those big compartments, it has the laundry.
Mm-hmm.
So they would put in the net bags their laundry, and each department would have their own laundry, a representative that would fill these huge bags up and bring them down to us. And then we would clean them, wash them, and they'd have to pick them up. But, we were always behind because it was so much to do.
And-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, got it. You're finished.
Then, for the chiefs and officers, we would do their laundry, personal laundry, fold it up for them, and we press their uniforms for duty.
And just to recap, just a general estimate of how many crew members were on the New Jersey during your time?
Yeah, 15 to 1,600.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So you're doing laundry for 15 to 1,600 sailors.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Now, do you have any port or calls that you remember that stood out? Any that you had fondness for?
I liked Australia. It was a beautiful country.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of the Asian countries are third world that we went to, Korea and Philippines. Some real nice ones like Hong Kong and Singapore. But Australia was just a beautiful country, beautiful beaches. Very
How
nice.
how far inland did you get to go? Did you visit any of the major cities or the outback?
Yeah, I went to Sydney. That's where the bicentennial was. It was in Sydney. But on that first cruise, we spent like 2.5 out of 3 months in Port Australia, different ports. So it was just awesome. Kind of tough on your first cruise ever in the Navy, and you're not going to the Persian Gulf at all. All it was hitting Liberty ports.
Okay. That sounds like fun.
Oh yeah.
Now, did you get to go through the Panama Canal with the ship at any time?
Not on that ship, no.
Okay. All right. Did you have to do any of the ceremonies for like crossing the equator or anything like that?
Yeah.
Okay, so you went through from Pollywog to Shellback?
Yes, I did.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, you're pretty much going around on your hands and knees. They're spraying water at you. They're beating you with a fire hose. It's a full ceremony. You go through a garbage chute. It's interesting. I don't know if they do it anymore with the way things are, but yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, we had a Vietnam veteran describe the same exact thing. So little change from his time to your time. All right. Now, getting to the end of your time on the New Jersey, but before that, do you remember anything from Westpac that you'd like to mention? The size of the fleet or how impressive that was?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing going into different battle groups and seeing them all together. In uniform sailing.
Anything like when you were doing the exercises, any test fire or anything you remember from that?
Yeah, if you could ever see these 16-inch guns fire, it's an amazing thing. Yeah, it's just what the ship's motto is: firepower for freedom.
Right.
That's what it is. Just awesome.
Okay. Now, so you were actually part of the decommissioning crew.
Yes.
So go ahead and take us from Australia till the final decommissioning, including what you might remember from the decommissioning ceremony.
Well, we pretty much wrapped up all the equipment, up take off a lot of the stuff. I see some of the equipment, they must have restored it because everything was taken off the ship. When we decommissioned it, there was nothing left. We were in the barges down in Long Beach Naval Shipyard and just removing everything. It took a long time. I guess we were probably there about 6 months. President Reagan was supposed to come, but he didn't. He did come to the commissioning, I understand, in '86.
Yes. Yes, December of '82, he did come aboard, and we have his flag in the wardroom, something that you'll see a little later on in the self-guided.
Okay, good.
Now, what was it like when you first heard, when the news came down, that the New Jersey was going to be decommissioned?
Well, it's kind of tough after, when you see a ship like that that's been around for so many years, and this was the end. It was to be no more ever again. And which, they understand it costs a lot of money. I think they were saying it cost like $1 million a month back then, to run the ship. So I could understand it. And everything at that time was going from steam to gas turbines.
Right. All right, so let's continue. You're breaking it down, getting it ready for mothballs. Take us from there to the actual ceremony and what you did afterwards.
Well, the ceremony was pretty awesome. It was in Long Beach, California, and it was kind of funny because we actually had snowflakes, like real light snowflakes were coming down. And you see something in Southern California, you never see that. It was just amazing. And then the ceremony was great, and how they said USS New Jersey departing, and they played the bells to end it, and it was kind of sad, moving on from such a glorious ship, such an amazing ship. But after that, I had to go on to my next duty station and get ready for Desert Storm.
Okay. And just to refresh, you said that Mr. Katz was your commanding officer?
Yeah, Admiral Katz was our commanding officer.
Did he get his admiral Star at that ceremony or later?
No, he got it later.
Later, okay. All right, so we are moving on. So talk about your time on the, I believe you told me it was the USS Rents, which was a frigate for Desert Storm. Want to talk about your time on that?
Yeah, that was
And-
tough. That was like night and day, going from a ship like this to a frigate that had 240 people on it. The department was tremendously smaller. There was only like maybe 6 of us after, I working with 25, 30. And you go on a crew of 6 people. I was part of the ship's firefighting team, flying squad, which people in supply would never do that on the battleship. There was all DC men, HTs and DCs. And you just had to do more. It wasn't as much to do, obviously, because it's a smaller ship, but more of it. It was a different change.
Now, did you see any of the warships commence firing when Desert Storm started, or was Desert Storm already underway when you got there?
It was already underway when we got there.
Okay, so you did not get to see the Missouri or the Wisconsin, or did you?
No, I
Okay.
did not.
All right.
Missouri was still there when we were getting decomped, because we were just, we were right next to each other in Long Beach
Mm-hmm.
on the same pier.
Okay. All right. Anything else you remember from Desert Storm? Any of the news? How you felt about the news coming from Kuwait at the time?
Well, before we left, we were in dry dock. I was on dry dock in New Jersey, and I remember I was working in laundry and we were watching it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that was going down. So we knew when this was over, we were going. Everyone was pretty much getting ready to go to the Gulf.
Okay. So by the time you got there, it was already winding down, so to say?
Well, it was yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I would
Okay.
say that.
That was it? Kuwait had already been liberated?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know we didn't have any occupational after that. Okay, great. So after Desert Storm, take us from there to when you got out of the Navy. Any other ships you served on, or what was your duty stations after that?
Well, after I left the Rents, I went to shore duty for at the Camp Pendleton Naval Hospital. I worked security in the barracks. Mostly hospital corpsmen were there, and Marines who were temporarily injured, would stay there after surgery or whatnot. I did that for a couple of years.
Okay.
It was very boring. It was different from being on a ship, so I wasn't used to.
Right. And so you decided to get out. Your time was up in 94,
Yes,
your enlistment?
yes.
All right. So we'll kind of cap off the interview with some questions like, basically, after you got out of the Navy, what did you do with your life and, family and things like that?
Well, I stayed in San Diego for a little bit, but it got too expensive. You get out of the military, you don't have a degree, you don't have any skills really. So I left California in like '96, and I moved to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I started working with computers. Then I met my wife, and I moved to Tampa to be with her. Went to school, got my degree in computers,
Mm-hmm.
and then I continued school and got my MBA for accounting. And for the last 7, 8 years, I've been working for the Department of Defense, doing the administration of defense contracts.
Great. And that's your current position?
Yes, and we deal with different contracts with the Navy, the Army, Air Force.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Great. Anything else where you're at today as far as life?
Life is good.
So how did the Navy influence you post-Navy? I mean, what can you take away from your time in the Navy to your current situation? Or your current
the Navy
feelings?
told me to be more organized. More organized with things.
Mm-hmm.
And to, as far as like time, and my organization skills are a lot better, I think, since I've been out.
Okay.
More self-discipline.
All right. Looking back on your time of service, you were, you look back on it fondly, or how do you see it?
It was a great experience. I'm one of the few people that can say they, as the saying goes, sunset from a naval warship.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay. Now, is this the first time you've been back to New Jersey since?
Oh yeah.
She was your decommission? Okay.
Yeah, since '91, yeah.
So as you're walking up, what are your feelings?
I got goosebumps walking up. It was, it's been 26 years since I've seen her.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, it's just been an awesome experience coming back.
Great. Any memories coming back to you as you're walking around?
Yeah, you think of all the things that happened, and you did with the people that were like family to you. I urge anybody who served to come back and visit her.
Mm-hmm. Because I noticed you when you were walking through the mess decks. How was the food?
That was pretty bad back then.
Because in the 80s you had your choice. You had entree or like fast food.
Yeah.
Which line did you always like to kind of gravitate toward?
Yeah, it depends. Well, you do the fast food, but you kind of got over it after a while.
Mm-hmm.
So you can switch back and forth. Well, you go to fast food depending on what they had for the entree.
Right. So you had that option.
Yeah.
All right. And, looking at the New Jersey, how's that feeling on you even as you're doing this interview?
It feels really good.
Mm-hmm.
Everything looks smaller than from when I initially served, though it looks that way anyway.
Right. Yeah, we did try, like I've told you before, we got it as you left it. So, was there anything a little different from what you remember that you're walking through?
Well, my very big space is a classroom.
Mm-hmm. But like I said, there's still racks in there, which is pretty fun.
Yeah.
So one of them might still be yours. We're hoping to get them in there.
Hope so.
All right. At this point, I could just ask you, do you have any other stories or anything else you remember from your time?
No, not really. Nothing I can think of or share.
Okay. All right, then. That case, again, thank you for your service and taking the time to do this interview. This concludes our interview. Again, this is Angelo Pizzullo, manager of the Oral History Program on board the Battleship New Jersey in Camden, New Jersey. Today is Saturday, October 21st, 2017. Our interview guest was Mr. James Guardiano from Apopka, Florida. This recording and any transcripts, abstracts, or indexes created from this interview will be stored in the Oral History Department of the Battleship New Jersey, the Library of Congress, Veterans History Project, and the New Jersey State Library System. All recordings will be made available to writers, researchers, teachers, and historians. This is Angelo Pizzullo signing off.
Thank you, Angelo.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.